Here's stage 1 from the 2017 Optics Nationals. It's called Dot Matrix. It's 32 rounds, all paper. You start with your heels touching the rear fault line, straddling the start stick with your wrists below the edge of your belt. Gun is loaded and holstered, and at the signal, you engage the targets as you see them. All right, this was my first stage on day 2, and there were so many different ways that you could tackle this particular stage. I opted to step right in and shoot all of the middle first. I'll tell you what, going through the walkthrough a number of times, I was getting extra targets, I was missing targets, and so it was really, really important that I stick to a simple plan to make sure that I had all the shots accounted for. This is a classic case of where you want to go and count all the targets, like physically walk to each target to make sure that you have accounted for all of them. Otherwise, you very well could miss one or shoot one twice. Not the end of the world, of course, if you do that, but it does add time to your stage. So I stepped in and I shot all of the targets that I could see from the center position, popped my reload, and then moved into the blinding light. Oh my goodness, this right here, this position was the hardest in the match for me. I'm really sensitive to light. I see well in the dark and I see well in the light, but the transition time between bright light and darkness is a really, really tough one for me. And so going into that position, getting those hard shots, having that hard no-shoot target that was at a distance in the bright sunlight, and then transitioning into the dark house, stopping for a target that was set in the blackness of the dark house was really, really tough. And I ended up with some misses there, and I didn't call them. I thought they were good, but it was just something that my eyes couldn't adjust to. Then you'll see in the center here, I totally had to make up a really bad shot. I had a no-shoot in there, and I knew it, so I stopped to try to make it up. That, unfortunately, left me a little bit behind on my round count for the final position, where I had to pop a reload. A lot of times people ask, should I do a reload for one shot? Is it worth it to take the miss? On a larger stage like that, where the time's going to be slower and the points are going to be really valuable, absolutely. And so I felt like I salvaged the stage a bit. But I'm not going to lie, this was probably my worst stage in the match. And this is at the point where you have to stop, figure out what went wrong, figure out what you need to do to fix it, and move on. Like I said, this was the first stage in the match for me on the second day. I had the rest of the match to finish that day, and I could have very easily let it get to my head, but I didn't. And I ended up building momentum for every single stage after and finishing very, very strong. And that's something to really consider when you're looking at these courses of fire and you're in the heat of the moment and really hard on yourself for not performing as well as you know that you could. Of all the stages in the match that I wish I could have back and do over, this would be the one. That was stage 1. I have some more great breakdowns to cover for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. And I like to say it, you know it, be safe and have fun.